Welcome to Rules of Villainy, episode 45, where 3 new trading card game players quest and challenge their way to the competitive top tables and discuss their opinions on Disney's Lorcana. This week, we'll be covering the latest news in Lorcana, answering your questions, and discussing the latest developments in the metagame. I'm Villain Vince, joined as always by my 2 co-hosts, Villainy Andy and the mayor of Lorcana himself, Brad. How's it going tonight, gentlemen?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, Brad.
Oh,
Vince got
what's got you so chipper? It seems a little sarcasm in your voice. The Jafar is still haunting you after this past weekend, huh?
It is. I don't know. You want to tell the folks the story?
Yeah, I beat Vince's Ruby Sapphire with Jafar in round 3 of the set championships at Bodax, and he immediately stormed out of the store.
Listen.
Good times. Not only did you... Go ahead.
I was not storming out, okay? I was just saying. Listen, Jafar and the Blurple deck, it gets the bowels moving, and you just gotta sometimes, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
A little too much coffee.
Go. Yeah.
I do drink a lot of coffee.
You are,
and I think most people can relate.
You're known to spill it on yourself, too.
This is true. But I will say, I think most people can relate to the fact that you'd much rather use your own bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
100% agree. If I knew that was the case, I'd be like, see you later, Vince. I spent the rest of the day thinking you were mad at me. And then we spent the rest of the day mad at you because Melee decided to just...
Listen.
Well...
I am not responsible for Melee's indiscretions, all right?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's a weird going into the 5th round and having 2 buys and everything, and we just decided, well, blame Vince.
So, Brad, you're we saw you beat Ruby Sapphire on stream at Grapes. Yeah. And you beat Vince on Ruby Sapphire. So that's 2 wins against Ruby Sapphire. Have you had any other experiences playing against Ruby Sapphire in any set champs? How did those go? Tell us about it, Brad.
I did. I played Villain Andy over here. He's trying to get me to praise him and his success in the Bodax set championship, where I played him in round 2, the round right before Vince, and he 2-0'd
honestly,
me.
I think I have you to thank for how salty Brad got when I sat down at the table, and he was like, "Another one."
Yeah,
another Ruby Sapphire.
You're gonna win this. To which my response was, without skipping a beat, I was like, Brad, you play this game more than I do, okay? Like, Andy plays with his wife all the time. I play like once a week.
And you almost beat me. Like, seriously, it was some of the most intense Lorcana. It was great. Like, we had the entire store watching us, and that's when I get into super focus, don't screw this up, because I felt in control, but not entirely in control. And then you even told me the next day, it goes, "Oh yeah, that was not enjoyable." It was so intense, and I didn't mean to make it that way. I was just like,
I was just like, oh my god. Honestly, the thing was, when I was like, hey, do you want to play at this other game? So you're like, I can't think about that right now. And I was like, whoa, dude, whoa. Right. I was just like, I wanted to make sure you got a Melee, man. Honestly, though, they were good games. I'm just mad at myself that I totally forgot that you had that queen on board. And when you did the exact same thing the second time in a row, I was just like, what? What?
Yeah.
No.
Your grandma Talak could just easily trade.
I know. And I had thought about it too, but I just with that deck, we'll talk about it later in the main segment, but there's so many things you can do. And I think I just totally glossed over. Not saying I don't know if it would have really mattered.
I made some mistakes too that Andy pointed out. I think he had something to say about it.
And I was just saying, both of you guys were playing really, really intense. And there was one time where I looked at Vince and he was looking at 2 cards off Developer Brain. And I was like, and I looked at Ron. I'm like, why is he thinking about this? Like, this is the easiest decision ever. I don't remember what they were or whatever, but I was like, Vince spent 45 seconds thinking about these cards. And then I think it hit him and he was like, oh yeah, wait, no, this other one's kind of worthless. I need to take this one. And
Brad
had one on board, I think, at one point, and instead like played safe, which is the thing we all do all the time, where you just like answer your opponent's board, when instead you got to learn that moment to like turn the corner and say, okay, this is my game now. You answer me.
Yeah. Ryan Hines told me last night at game night. He goes, there was a moment, like it was so intense, but Vince like was like shuffling his cards and he got them all messed up that he was basically showing you his hand and you didn't see it, but he couldn't turn his cards back around. They were basically facing you. It was just Vince, we were so dialed into the board. Yeah.
And Brad was like busy staring at which card he was going to ink, and Vince like dropped his whole hand on the table and was like, "Oh!" Picked it back up, and I was
staring at Brad, and Brad just didn't notice. A Maui House Shark. And I looked up at Andy and I was like, oh, crap.
Brad did not.
I probably had a Hades waiting for it, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's neither here nor there. The true Lorcana Illumineer won that game. That's all I have to say about that.
Oh, all right. Well, I was good. We can skip Scottie Watch then. We don't need to talk about that.
No, Scottie Watch. guys, no. I'm not just okay. I am excited. We got Jock in the game now, guys. Scottie Watch. # Scottie Watch worked. We had so many people tagging me on a day where I had no service in my work building. I had to go outside. I just went outside at 2:00 that afternoon just to go check my phone and everything. And I had so much love from the community, from Missy Enchanted, all kinds of creators tagging me on the socials, on Discord or whatever, to let me know on our Discord. Literally everybody, tag Brad. We got Jock in the game, and I'm so excited. So it's just a big, exciting moment for me after last set where we thought Jock was going to be there. But I want everybody to know that Scottie Watch is not dead. We are now # enchanted Scottie Watch. We need to get Jock enchanted, right? Yep. I know it's a very big long shot, but
it happens.
We can keep the meme alive.
So we are now on Scottie Enchanted Watch. But yes, there was another card we got too, right? It's not just Jock. There's another card that was revealed.
There is
Figaro.
Figaro.
Beautiful. Everybody that knows that story. My fiance has considered in the past. She goes, when there is proper representation of tuxedo cats and Scottish Terriers in Disney Lorcana, I'll consider playing. And everybody here on the podcast and within the Discord and in the community knows that and thinks that it was a promise that she would play. And I'm like, let's dial it back. Like the requirements are met. Now let's see if we can get her into ease her into the game. But
can we move
for her to get more interested?
Can we move her along like we do with Jimmy's wife and maybe get her into the puzzling, like the Ravensburgger puzzling?
She does want to go to Gen Con. We still haven't figured that out because we just got so much going on with work and then saving for the wedding that she spent several years in Indiana after school at her first job, and she's dying to go back. So Gen Con is an excuse to do it. But as we've talked about privately, like the hotels and everything there during that weekend are not great. So
next year. Next year.
She's a professional baker as well on our team.
She does literally everything.
She's in charge of rolls of Villainy. Our professional
another one.
So we're gonna have representation on the Great American Bake Off and Cake Wars and Cupcake Wars, all of the different pastry based warfare competitions.
Yeah,
branching out.
But we'll see if she actually dives into Lorcana, but only time will tell.
Listen, Lorcana puzzling, it's coming. We know Ravensburgger said they're doing puzzles, so
I'm going to get every single one of them too. Yep. I can't wait.
Same. Andy's going to get multiple of them, much like he got multiple.
If they all come with a promo, for sure.
Andy's going to fan them out like he does his Lilos.
Got my Lilos.
Oh
actually,
my God.
Speaking of promos, I got a new one today.
Oh, you got your D23 set. He to the listeners, he's holding up the Iago from the D23 membership.
You got it today?
That's beautiful.
It's either awesome. The sleeve or the lighting or something doesn't really do justice, but the sand that goes off to the edges, you can see the foiling in it. It looks nice.
It's so cool. I love it.
Congratulations.
I can't wait to get mine.
Emily just asked me earlier this week or late last week. She's like, when's that coming in? I'm like, I have no idea. I didn't order it the day or subscribe the day that it dropped, so we're probably on the back end of people. That's
I think it depends on which item you chose from it.
Okay,
because if you
she got the pins,
so that's what we got, and I think I would hope that it's probably coming soon. Is what I'd imagine, because the logistics depend on when the item is available and packaged and put together with all the rest of the stuff. So our box came in a very pin box shaped package, right? It wouldn't be the same shape for the water bottle or the backpack or the hat or whatever. It's probably a logistics thing. It's always a logistics.
But it also means D23 next year. We're coming.
Yes, we're on there.
Try.
Yeah. But we did have set champs these past 2 weeks, and I want to give out congratulations to a bunch of the Rules of Villainy team members. We had ROV Kirsten, who was a champion at Bodax, got the playmat. The runner-up there is another member of the kids team, I would say, Tyler Sir Doodleman, second place at Bodax. And then we have ROV Reckless, who got second place at Game Night. He just narrowly lost out on taking that down from Justin Ward, a national qualifier of Lorcana. We have Ace, who took down Grapes Games. ROV Brit, who took second place at Grapes Games. Jimmy, who took second place at the Collector Store. Megan, the champion at Manicore. And Evan, top 8 at Bodax. So we give a good congratulations to all of them.
And two ROV junior team members there in the top 8.
Yeah,
that's huge.
I haven't released my sets report yet for the past week, and so there's only 2 of them, and so I'm featuring the first and second placers, and I'm excited to talk about Tyler because it's such a comeback too. Because the last week at Grapes Games, he got last place with his aggro build. And it's the exact same deck, and then he bounced back to a 17-person tournament and getting second in it. Absolutely incredible. Sometimes it just goes to show. Sometimes just luck's not on your side. You know, like you could not have favorable matchups, you cannot draw the things you need, but he's definitely got the skill to get up there and get that second place win. So, and I was really excited for Evan. I was his last round of Swiss there at Bodax, and little did he know that even if his Amber Steel deck didn't just whoop up on me for a 2-0 win, I was going to let him through anyway, because I'd rather see the kids succeed and enjoy Lorcana to its fullest. So shout out to both of them and everybody on that list.
Yep, absolutely. We also this week
tournament, right? You finally got your first win against the kid in that tournament, right, Vince?
Izzy, yeah. But we're gonna move on to the Reign of Jafar, which released OP kit here. Is that so we now know what the OP kit is. We did see the cards last week, but we now know we're going to get our Amethyst pin to match the Amber pin we got in the Arcasia's Island. And then we've got 2 new pins, which is Captain Hook, the Pirate King, which is an Amber Steel. So we're getting dual ink pins, and also Amethyst Sapphire Into the Unknown. Okay, that was beautiful card.
But
that
it's a beautiful card.
It was a beautiful card. Which is phenomenal. And then we also did get to see the cards for the set, which are gorgeous. It is the Jafar High Sultan of Lorcana. I do think we actually saw some better cards on one of the lore casts they did past the announcement. You should go check that out at, I believe it's a twitch.tv/Disney Lorcana.
Yep.
To go check that out. We'll link to the proper link down below.
Yep.
Brad will take care of that. And then, I
just want to jump in real quick. The Pirate King Captain Hook is Emerald Steel, not Amber Steel. That's all.
Oh, Emerald Steel.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Cool. All good. I mean, I'm so used to calling them by their colors that I'm trying to get better into the habit of
into the inks as we should.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's so hard.
It's so hard. But the thing I really am so excited about is the champion playmat. This Jafar mat looks sick. It's so awesome. Really it's so cool. I've never wanted a mat more than this mat here. Ravensburgger. Give us a runner-up playmat.
You beat me
Or-
to it. I was gonna say, you know what I want more than this mat? Two.
Yeah.
Two mats. One that says champion and one that says runner up.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Uh,
think if you want to mat that badly, like I think the
Get
goal is to make the players get in a snarky sense get good, right? But seriously, the mat is that pretty, and I feel like if you want it that bad, you're going to try really hard in these set championships to win that mat. Like I know it feels bad for second place to not have one, but I think having just the single. We'll talk more about the mats later. I'm sure it's going to come up again, but
we're all going to try our hardest to get this Jafar. I mean,
for sure.
Do you want
it's
this?
Amazing.
Do you want this more than you wanted the Scar mat, Brad?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but this is still a beautiful mat. This is still beautiful.
It's one of the coolest mats by far. I have to say they really knock it out of the park with these villain mats. But honestly, speaking of mats, if you don't win and you want to buy them, TCG Player has a sale this Friday. And the way that sale works is whatever you purchase, you'll get 10% back in store credit that you can then go to buy more stuff on TCG Player. And so it's basically like a 10% discount. Boy math, girl math. I'm not sure. I think that's how that works, right? But what's really great is you can support us by going to partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV. And we get a little bit of commission. Doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you any extra at all, but it helps us out a little bit. And it's a great way to support the channel, to get a lot of great cards you have. I know I've got a list of things that I'm ready and pumped and excited to get to fill out my collection. I don't know. Are either of you pumped and excited to fill up your collection as well?
Yeah.
A ton of stuff.
I intend to buy some promos and maybe a couple enchanteds on Friday. I want to fill out my set 1 promos as much as I can. I don't have the Musketeers yet from PAX and Gen Con of the Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, so I'm looking primarily at those, and I'll probably get a couple of the Sword and Stone enchanteds that I don't have yet that are still moderately reasonably priced, right? So that's my goal this Friday.
Yeah, I
Just
figure,
don't be getting
I
the
haven't
Royal
gotten
Tantrum.
Yeah, that one's 10 times the price now.
Pricey.
They'll go back down. Kirsten and I realized that we don't have the Moana movie theater promo enchanted. So I figure, I mean, it's a pricey one, right? Those are like $20-$30, right? Would you pay, Brad?
Get out of here. I knew you were going to do that.
So I figure, I'm going to have to go get 1 or maybe 10 of them for the same price that I got his. And then,
I was honestly going to say, I think you could buy 10 of them and it still wouldn't cost as much as one of them.
Grab a couple play sets.
What was I thinking? Not only did I pay $30 for one of them, I won a playset of them from the Glimminiers a week or two later.
That's the best.
Just absolutely insane. And now it's a $2 card. So
like a bunch.
Yep.
I mean, you really like collecting the promo cards, and so I think it's worth it from that perspective. Like the value in the cards is what you make of them, and not what the market sets for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we also have an upcoming event. It's a while. We'll talk more about it as we go. But it's the Jackson Warren Memorial Tournament. Saturday, July 12th through Sunday, July 13th is a 2-day tournament at Impact Gaming in Fairview Heights. You should check out their website. If you're interested, make plans. Come to the St. Louis area. Get to meet the villains who will be casting. Some of us will be playing as well. We're going to make this a really successful, super great tournament, and we're going to have a whole heck of a lot more news about that tournament. But they've got room blocks set up. Come.
Yeah.
Going to be a fun, fantastic several weeks of Lorcana from Worlds all the way to Impact Gaming.
I do have
definitely be there.
I do have some news from that. I talked with Tom, the person who's putting that on, and he said on day 2, they know that they are going to have a 3-versus-3 tournament. So this is a day 2. They're going to have some side events and some more fun events and things for you to do if you don't make day 2 of the larger tournament. One of which is going to be a 3v3 tournament, which I think is awfully spicy. I wonder if we can maybe, I don't know what the timing is going to be like, but maybe if the main event hasn't started yet or is over, we can get like a 3v3 game on the stream.
Yeah.
And try and
man.
Try and cast that. It would be
I don't know
pretty
how
wide
like
angle.
you'd have to like put the camera on fire. Or
yeah,
really wide.
It's gonna be really interesting.
That's
We'll
pretty cool.
Logistics, but yeah, the stuff like that. We're working on getting the flyer and everything put together with all of the details. But I believe it's guaranteed 1K in cash prizing, as well as I think D23 kits, enchanteds, playmats. They're
lots of stuff.
Belt.
Yeah, the grand prize for the main event is a championship belt that he had custom made. It's got Lilo, it's got Scar, it's got Scar on it. I should be like all over trying to get it, but I know that it's going to be a pipe dream. But Tom is doing everything he can to make this the biggest thing possible, and it deserves to be. And I'm really excited to see how it develops in the next couple of months. It's in the middle of July, so we got plenty of time. But I believe the goal is to simulcast it, right? Because Impact already has their entire streaming setup. They do streaming already.
We're going to talk a lot about it in the coming weeks. So stay tuned here. We're going to have a lot of news about it. And Andy's recording even a commercial here, essentially. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Let's move on to Quest or Challenge. We've taken a few weeks off on this one. But the first statement here, and it's going to go to Brad first, is Ravensburgger will have alt art cards for Fabled.
Alt art? Possibly. I'll say Quest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andy?
Just Quest and pass. That's it. No reasoning for your.
Well, I mean, why not? We know that alt art is coming. Sorry. Yeah, I guess you're right. I should just I should justify it.
I mean, I have to give that much, but yeah.
Yeah, we're getting alt art alt art. I can't even talk. Alt art reprints in Reign of Jafar, 2 of them, with the Tailwagger and the Captain Hook Forceful Duelist. And we know we're getting reprints in Fabled. I would suspect that the ones that they've showed us are the exact same art already, but I would suspect that some of them, for a little bit of spice, will be alt art as well.
Yeah,
Andy,
I thought I heard them say on the stream that had the bad audio. The bad audio stream, as it will forever be known, that all or most of the cards would be the same art in reprints. So
that's different.
Gonna challenge, but at the same time, I think I'm gonna quest and then ready and then challenge with a LeFou or something.
The Raya effect.
Yeah.
Because we also have already confirmed that there will be alt art cards in Fable that. I guess they're not technically alt art. They're different treatments to the art, right? We saw the Elsa that was an uncommon in set 1 that is becoming a epic rarity. Although we saw Honey Wizard. Honey Wizard is becoming that's an alt
Enchanted
art. So we have proof that there's going to be alt art, but I think we've also been told that most of them are going to be the same art, which really to me is kind of...
Fair enough. The ones they've showed us are all fantastic. The Rockstar Stitch, a Honey Wizard, the third one that just escaped me, but they're all beautiful. The big
Maleficent
Tink,
Dragon.
they're all beautiful. Tink, Maleficent Dragon, which is getting but that's the set championship one. So
Enchanted.
I think it's really possible, but we'll see.
I will just say, Ravensburgger, if you need somebody to help you out with your audio, just give me a call. I can make sure that you absolutely get left audio or right audio, and for an extra fee, maybe we could figure
not
out
both.
For those who have listened to our earlier streams, you might understand that reference.
Yep.
But I'm gonna quest this. My main reason for questing this is I think Ravensburgger has to lean into the alt arts for a couple reasons. One is that this game is as much about the artists as it is about playing. They really emphasize the artists. Artists are at these events. They are on the streams. They talk about the artwork a lot, and they talk a lot about the development. It's just they really emphasize the artwork in this, and I think the community wants that. Rochelle talked about how I think maybe Liam in one of the streams has said make a Ravensburgger art book, coffee table art book, and we would eat that up. And I think he's 100% right. But I also think if they don't do it, it's just going to feel really bad for existing players who have been around for a while that maybe have, a whole play set of Big Tank or of the what was the Stitch Rockstar. It's like, and then you're opening packs, and now in those,
50% of the cards.
Yeah,
You
like
already
those
have
rare and stuff. It's like that just feels bad. My only kind of hope, at least, is that if they're only gonna do reprints for some of chapter 1, the first chapter, I'll feel a little okay with that, because the first chapter was very, very hard to get.
They're doing multiple sets.
For
Honey
folks-
Wizard's set too.
Yeah.
So presumably they're gonna reprint anything they
original
want
Honey
from sets
Wizard.
1 through 4.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I hope we're getting more alt arts. And I know you said that maybe that's not what they've said, but I'm just hopeful that maybe just maybe we will see more alt arts of these artworks
in the future, but I don't think in Fabled.
In Fabled.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think Fabled's already on the presses. It's probably too late for that, and I'd
rerun it.
Yeah,
off the press.
For me,
redo.
It's really rough because, like, I also want all of these the epics and the enchanteds and the iconics, and it's like
I want the iconics so bad.
It's gonna just it's this catch-22 of like having I want to open more packs so I can get these cards, but I also don't want half the cards I'm gonna pull out of these packs because I already have them, and I almost kind of feel like if it is all same art reprints, does that make you feel any sort of way, Vince? Because it kind of almost makes me feel like mad and like kind of, it feels rude because like I have all of these cards, you have all these great artists, like you said. Like, how hard would it be to just put a different version of the art on all of them for us?
I agree, but I'll tell you what it makes me likely to do is go to partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV and buy all the cards that I need.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point.
Always selling. ABC.
The adage of singles being, a better way to get all of the cards monetarily is now even more so true, I think, for those of us who've been collecting since set 1.
All right.
Next
statement is Ravensburgger will bring back 2 playmats for set champs. Andy?
Well, let's put it this way. You know how when you play like a Hades on someone, right, in Blurple, and then you bounce it immediately back to your hand, and they're not playing discard in any way, and you just kind of like look at them like, so what are you gonna do?
Go ahead.
What are you gonna do? You gonna play something? You gonna play something? I feel like that's what I'm saying to Ravensburgger is that, like, look, you bring back that second playmat, all right? I got this Hades in my hand. I will Hades you, okay? I will send you straight to the inkwell. That second playmat needs to come back. But the reason I think they might not is nothing to do with, like, who plays this game, who plays that. Yeah, I think it's money. I think it's just a matter of they give so much free stuff to these stores that I don't blame them for not giving the second playmat again. Because there's answers to all the other arguments, I feel like, but except for the one that just, hey, it costs us a lot of extra money. And I hope they supplement it with something else, though. I hope they give us, foil, non-foil treatment of the enchanted, some of these other things people are talking about. In the meantime, though, I am organizing a 32-person set champs where we will all be splitting the playmat, chopping into 32 tiny little pieces, each one with an official number stamped onto it, and we'll get it like encased in like one of those little PSA cards. Yeah,
we'll be doing it for the next 32 set champs.
Yeah,
so that
as protest,
at the end of it, you can put them all together
and
have one master playmat.
Yes. So
so you're challenging here.
I'm saying I don't think they will bring it back, but I think
that's
should.
a challenge.
Yeah, so that's a challenge. But I think they should. I would love to quest on this, but I understand why they're not. Yeah.
Brad?
I also say challenge. I also don't really want them to, in the sense that I do think second place deserves prizing. I do believe in the tiered prizing. I think that the 2 playmats became a problem because one, it stopped the final match from being played because they would just trade them off. Two, when you get with 1 mat, it gets them playing for the mat. Like, you want to play for that Jafar when it comes out, right? You'd be excited to win that Jafar. And 2, it wrongly made people more want the runner-up playmat more because of just the crisp look of it without having champion blast on, which I get the argument that being the champion means more, but I think people took style over substance.
Put runner-up on
in
it
that
then.
regard.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
If that was really what Ravensburg wanted to solve, that's an easier answer.
I don't think people want either of those mats, though. I think people just want the clean mat. So maybe make the play mat like without either of them on the first one or for first place. But it still doesn't make sense because you just conquered a 32-person tournament, a 40-person tournament, whatever. I think they just put themselves in a rough spot by releasing 2 of them at first, and then realizing that, well, it's actually adversely affecting the game in a way that we don't want it to, and it just sucks because nobody likes having things taken away from them, right? Like the opportunity, like, oh, we had 2 playmats, now we only have 1. This stinks. The only way they bring them both back, and I'm not condoning it, is all of the harsh feedback that everybody's doing online every set championship season, saying bring back 2, and then they're back in that same boat again where everybody's just going to want the one without the thing.
But again, that's an easy fix. Just print runner up on the second play mat. And now think about it. If the one mat, the only reason people wanted the clean mat is because it was objectively or subject, whatever the one means that you can't deny it. It's undeniably better to have it clean versus the champion one. It looks nicer. Most people agree on that. You put runner up on there, 99 out of 100 people are going to say, I'd rather have champion than runner up. I want the mat. It looks pretty still, but I'd rather the words champion on there. That means I'm not second place. I took my non-champion Stitch mat, even though I want a champion one. I took it to the DLCs because I loved that mat and I wanted to play on it. It was the coolest looking one. And every time I'd sit down from someone, they go, oh, that's so cool. You got second place? And I was like, well, actually, I got first place twice, but I gave someone the champion mat so that I could get the second place. Right? See? Exactly. And so like everyone was like, oh, wow. Like I took the cleaner one because I thought it looked nicer, and everyone's already like, you got second place. Now the runner-up one is going to be the same thing. They're going to be like, oh, congrats on second place. And they're going to whip out their champion mat, and they're going to,
So it's a pride thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So
yeah.
That'll make people want to play for that mat, right? But, so there's other solutions to these problems that I agree with you exist, Brad, and I don't agree that necessarily Ravensburgger cares about them. I think they care more about the money for the second playmat. But
and I agree with that too. I didn't speak to that.
They could solve those problems easily by doing other things that entice people to play out those games more, and de-incentivize like the clean mat and stuff like that. So
I'm going to challenge it because I think Ravensburgger is wrongly going to continue proceeding without a second playmat because of the financial aspect, as Andy laid out. But I think it's wrong because I think actually what we're now seeing is people just aren't even playing the top cut in a lot of these places. They're saying, forget it. We'll just cut up the mat. We'll split it amongst ourselves.
As long as that's happening in good spirits too. The first time I saw it happen, I was like, oh man, I hope this isn't like a toxic, like we'll show them this is how we feel about it. But it turns out that the ones that I've seen are all like really good friends and thought it'd be a good thing to have, a piece of it, so
I would also like to point out to the viewers out there, Brad, can you answer me this question? You've gotten first place at a set champs, correct? You won your Scar playmat?
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. That was an amazing run. I was there for that in person. Wonderful. Have you ever gotten second place at a set champs? No. Okay. That's very interesting. Viewers, leave your comments below. I think we know why Brad is in favor of just one playmat and not 2 playmats. I mean, like,
listen, I am the biggest empathizer in the world. I get it. I get it. When people when people talk about how it feels really bad to play for 7 hours and get the same pricing as second through eighth, I get it. That's why I said I believe in the tiered pricing. Give something for the top 8, give something for the top 4, give something for the top 2. I don't think they're going to bring back a playmat. If they do, I think the runner up is the solution. But ultimately, like in my mind, when I see that there's a championship playmat and I go to play in this tournament, I'm playing for that playmat. Like, so, you know what I mean? Like,
And that is Quester Challenge, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But anyway. Yeah.
If you'd like to ask us some Quester challenges in the future, you should join our Discord and put it in Constituents Corner marked Quester Challenge. But off to Constituents Corner, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Our first question of the week comes from Paul. It's not really speculation anymore. He said, question, with the speculation of RB adding a set rotation and the possibility of multiple competitive formats, do you see yourself staying with the rotating format or the possibility of a more all-inclusive format? So we know that we have the core constructed rotation coming up with set 9, and they're also going to have the Infinity format where everything's legal. I don't know if they have separate ban lists or anything for the 2. I know that everything is at the start of Infinity is going to be legal. I'll play in either one of them that I find enjoyable. I like experience. I'm going to answer the question first. I play a lot of fun ideas decks. I think Paul does too, and I will whatever the group, especially at the league that I run, wants to do. We'll do it. Like if you want to play core constructed, if you want to play the open play Infinity format, I'm all for it, and I could see myself dabbling in each of them. I don't know to what extent. I'll cross that bridge when we get there. Mostly is but I know me as a player, I'm interested in both. How about you, Vince? We'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I have pretty much the exact same thing. Like, I will probably play in the core constructed because I think that's where we are going to see most of the support and where like the main DLC events are going to be. So, you know, we say it at the beginning of this podcast that we're questing and challenging our way to the competitive top tables. And even though you have beaten me at Bodox, I will still try to question challenge my way to the competitive top tables. So I'll stay in the competitive format. But I'm still going to have fun decks. And I think a lot of these thematic decks are going to rely on the Infinity format for the card support, like brooms and stuff. Like, I mean, I'm sure they'll reprint some of these, but who knows how much of those those cards will exist in the meta at any given time, right?
Sure.
So that's my take.
What about you, Andy? I think I know your answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play competitive most likely. I'll obviously still play Infinity. The biggest thing for me is like the biggest question I have is like, what is this gonna do to the community? Because you talk about these fun thematic decks that are great in Infinity format because they have a larger card pool and be able to do these things. There's gonna be decks in Infinity that are just going to be insanely broken. So
yeah,
we already have this sort of divide among the community, and on any given night when you go to a league where people are like, oh, I'm playing a for fun deck, or I'm playing a more competitive deck, or somewhere on that scale, right? Now you're going to have arguably the same thing, but then split again, right? I'm playing Infinity competitive Infinity deck, but I'm playing a fun thematic Infinity deck. I'm playing a competitive. I think the more thematic and fun competitive decks will likely fall off. It's people build fun decks because they're fun. It takes some fun out of it, I think, to have to keep up with a rotation and like try and make puppies good, right? Like, like let's make it a little easier on us, but yeah, I'm probably going to mostly play competitive at DLCs, but I've always been a big fan of the other formats as well, because you get to scratch a different part of your brain while still playing the same Lorcana, that we all know and love. That's why I brought up the 3v3 tournament. I'm excited for something like that. I think Vince, didn't you say you played like a was it a free for all 4-person, or was it a 2v2 tournament, the multiplayer at Gen Con last year?
Yeah, it was 1 in a 4.
Okay,
so 1 against 3.
I'm excited for those kind of events, maybe at Gen Con or in future DLCs and stuff, because the deck building around them and stuff is really fun. So I'll play any format, but I mean, I'm in this to be the very best. You'll see me at a day 2 at a Worlds one day.
The best there ever was.
First husband and wife.
Lorcana man.
That's a different brand. That's a.
All right, we got to cut that part out.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ravensburger. Vince had a moment there. Whoa. we don't.
Next
talk
question.
About that.
Next question is from John from our Discord. He said, "Do you think that Ravensburger will ever reprint Legendaries? Will that take up the Legendary slot for the color, or will they add more to the set?"
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they have to reprint Legendaries. And will it take up the Legendary slot? Kind of hope not.
Yes.
But I think Vince is kind of right. It probably will.
Yeah.
But the question will be, will they have more Legendary slots? Right?
No.
Or
they're not expanding. They're not they would have to, I think, expand the amount of cards that are in a pack, right? I think that's the way they would have to do it. Versus, I mean, arguably, you could say you could reduce like a common. I just don't think they're going to do that.
That was about to be my suggestion.
I think they're going to.
But the 6 commons, one for every color, is still too perfect. I think we talked about this earlier as well, and this is a spicy one. I think maybe they changed the rarities of some of these. And I know it's kind of a weird concept to grasp, but
it is.
There are there's plenty of different rarities of cards already that exist.
You know what? I need somebody from Ravensburgger to come on our show and explain to me how they decide what rarity a card is, because I don't understand it. Which is why, I don't think this matters to them. I think they're I don't think they look at a card and are like, "Oh, this is a legendary. We're never going to reprint it again." I think they're like, this is a red legendary. We need X amount of them in the set.
I know that the rarities, they do take some account in rarities as far as the limited formats go. I've heard them say that they've designed the game not just around core constructed, but also around things like drafted sealed. And so you'll find things like more rare or more combo, more unique kind of abilities that require a larger setup that would work better in core constructed. You will find those at higher rarities than the more common and uncommons. That way you don't end up with these sort of bricky, no good cards in limited sealed formats and stuff.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Really? Is that what they do?
So look,
because I tell you what,
they do.
I get a lot of crap packs when I do limited.
I think they take some of that into account, but I do also think they put some cards up on a dartboard and throw darts at them and go, "Legendary."
I mean, arguably, my running theory behind this was that, the more rare a card got, the more kind of either better it was in its ink color or kind of escaped its ink color in a way. But I just feel like there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to that, because I'll look at a legendary and be like, this is not playable at all.
Yeah. But some legendaries have to be for the art too, I think.
That and
they said they don't make a decision about the art. You're
saying that art and the rarity aren't
correlated, because the only reason why I at least feel confident in saying that is because of the Honey Wizard artwork.
Yeah.
Because they put that they talk about how they love that artwork.
They put it on,
and it was on a common card.
Boring.
It was a
vanilla card. And that's the other thing.
Get out of here.
That card. Hopefully we'll have time for it in the main segment, because I want to talk a whole bunch about reprints and stuff. But Honey Wizard's so awesome, but we've wasted one of our, we get 102 cards out of 816 are getting reprinted with conservative metrics from what we've heard and stuff. So one of them is Honey Wizard. Man, I love that art.
We should move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
You're fine. Our last question is a second parter from a dual question we've already answered from Jake. He asked, now that the Hiram ban has had time to settle, we've seen Amethyst come back into the meta in a big way, as it's the only color that has effective card draw. Do you think that Ravensburgger will do anything to help the other colors with their draw power? Or do you think that they will stick to their color identity, quote unquote, and make Amethyst the only color with decent draw? Hot take, I think every color should have a Friends on the Other Side card.
Yeah, so I'll take that first, that last one. Yeah, like you might as well then make Friends on the Other Side a colorless card, and you might as well then just abandon all the like identities of the ink.
Not all of them, because I think just ruin Amethyst.
Well, I mean, my view is that you would, if you made Friends on the Other Side and every ink color are playable in every card, you would guarantee that every player would play 4 of those.
Right.
Basically.
But every ink color has its own unique way of draw power. Like I think I can't think of one off Steel off the top of my head besides a Whole New World, but like you have your Hirams, you have your Rapunzels. Emerald adapts to all the other colors. Ruby, I can't think of off the top of my head. But
Challenge.
Yeah, I guess there's no card draw. That's all challenge. But
it's bad.
But I feel like with 3 of the 6 colors having draw power, and Amethyst, of course, as he said, being the most the deepest way to draw, the most identity of draw in it, like you're going to make a pairing where you have some kind of draw power. Like everybody who plays Amber, the Rapunzel's a 4 of, right? And that's a color that lacks a lot of draw. There is little bits of draw here and there, but that's like its primary draw power. And I don't think you play any Amethyst or any Amber deck without Rapunzel. So
I think plenty of colors have plenty of draw power. You say,
yeah.
I mean, like people look at Rapunzel, but I think there's actually some really good draw options in Amber that are just simply locked out of the format by other slightly more powerful things that come into play. Rapunzel is a few stat points away from being not good. And I agree. Friends on the Other Side can't be in every color. It kills Amethyst and its draw power. I don't know that Ravensburgger will ever give other colors that amount of draw power, without limitation.
I would push back and say that I don't think it kills Amethyst. What I think it does is it just really dilutes the value of Amethyst as an ink color and stuff, And
it doesn't kill it; it just takes away from it a lot, I think.
But you've got cards though, like Ariel in Amber, that basically scribe for a song.
Yeah, it's the same as Scrooge and Scuttle, which scribe for items, and I think we get a new one that scribes for something. I feel like we got a new one.
I think there's a few actually, or at least there's at least one, and I think it was revealed today. Well, you're listening to this on Friday. Yeah, we're recording on Tuesday this week.
There's also, there's Robin Hood. Ruby Robin Hood scribes for 4 and gets to play it for free. It's a similar option, but yeah, I think the way they have the ink identities is really one of the most awesome parts of Lorcana. Honestly, I think they should get they should give more draw options in other ink colors. I think things like draw power, recursion, removal, these are all very core mechanics that are very strong. So I think all ink colors should have them. But I think when you look, a lot of the ink colors do have them. They're just, like I said, they're just kind of locked out of the format by other slightly better cards, and rotation is presumably going to allow us to experience some of them perhaps.
Here's a hot take since Jake gave one. I will predict, since we have no idea what's going to get reprinted and what doesn't, that Friends on the Other Side doesn't, and Amethyst is going to have to adapt to. I mean, we got different cards now that already draw 1 and like All in the Family, I think is one, right? Where draw 1, gain 1 lore. It's uninkable. It's not Friends on the Other Side, of course, but I think as we approach rotation, that cards like this that's been so prominent and for so long get phased out, and we find new ways to find that identity there.
So. Leave a comment and let us know. We've been kind of brewing this. would you guys like to see us do a video where we try and guess which cards we think will get reprinted? We've got a while before Fabled fully comes out and before we get all these reveals and stuff. But I think that would be kind of fun to do like a, like kind of like the March Madness prediction where you think, like I said, we have 100 or so cards, and we already know some of them are, I don't want to say wasted. That's rude because the art is gorgeous, but they're being, from a competitive standpoint, wasted on vanilla cards with really good art. And just Stitch, Rockstar. I love that card, man, but you didn't need to reprint it. It's not that great. Although I hope it
12
gets
weeks. We have 12 weeks before we're deep into the Fabled reveal season.
Yes.
So we got
wild.
Let us know in the comments if you'd like to see that, and we'll put that together for you.
Yeah, I would just keep in mind that even if a card doesn't come out and isn't reprinted in set 9, doesn't mean that it won't be reprinted in later sets. So we may not get, like, say, Friends on the Other Side in set 9, which would be really interesting, but we may get it in set 11.
Yeah, that is.
So
that is so
there will be
fun.
some interesting dynamics that will be at play. But yeah.
That's going to wrap it up, unless you guys have anything else to say about the topic at hand. If you would like your questions answered by the villains in the future, please be sure to comment on this video on YouTube, our socials, or join us on our Discord, where you can comment in the Constituents Corner channel. Back to you, Vince.
All right, let's get into the meat of this week. If you're still with us 45 minutes into this podcast, Arcasia's Island Set Championships, the meta game. So on the last 2 weeks from Ink Decks, we've had the following, I'd say, 5 decks represent the most significant amount of the decks. And I think this is what we'd see in our locals too. Amber Steel being the most popular prevalent deck here, representing 18% of the meta, representing 20% of top 8 popsicles. But this is a little bit, there's the item version and there's mana control, represents 12% of the meta and 12% of top 8. The Amethyst Steel Tempo deck, 12% of the meta, 11% of the top 8. Then we have Evasive Ruby Amethyst, 11% of the meta, 10% of the top 8. Which I think that's a deck we haven't seen as prevalent in our area meta, but does seem to be much more prevalent elsewhere. And then we have the Bounce, your favorite, Blurple, Jaflurple, Janir.
I have a variant of the standard standard Blurple.
Amethyst Sapphire, 7% of the meta and represents 8% of the top 8. I think the thing that stands out for me, at least, is not seeing Emerald Amethyst, which we have seen more significantly in our meta, local meta. But something we haven't seen.
I'm surprised. I'm seriously, throughout the whole this whole set, that even after the ban, especially, I'm really, really surprised we don't see a lot more Emerald Steel. I thought that was coming back in a big way after the Hiram Fortisphere ban, that they were gonna come back and discard down. But the one of the more prominent players here, Nick, brought it to Grapes. He made it to the top 8 with it, but he's the only person that I think I've seen playing it, which surprises me because I thought that was I'm just repeating myself, a deck that was coming back in a big way.
And we didn't actually even see Emerald Amethyst, the replacement, I think, for the Emerald Steel Diablo deck in Vince's breakdown here. So it was somewhere below 7% of the meta, and 8% of the top 8, which is kind of surprising. I think we shouted out Ace and his championship run, and he got there with
Ink Decks had it as like a tier 3 deck, which I'm not sure I totally agree with, but
kind of crazy. But do we want to talk about any deck first?
Let's start with Amber Steel. Let's start with
that one's not surprising. At Bodex, they were literally half of the top 8 was Amber Steel, between Kirsten, Evan, Ron, and Ryan. Were all 4 top, just Steel Song or some variant of it.
Both mirrors too. I think Kirsten and Evan were in round 1, and then Ryan and Ron in round 1 as well. yeah,
So let's talk about this deck, though. What do we think makes this deck successful?
I mean,
everything it's always been.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. I think the only thing it really added was potentially the Troubadour, Turtle Boy, and Miss Bianca.
Yeah, he sticks around longer than Vanessa does.
It's a very versatile list. The one we have up here is got Kirsten's. This is actually Kirsten's from Grapes. You'll probably be mad that we have it in here. She removed 2 daisies, and I think added in another Criminal Mind to bring this.
So
down
she took out all the daisies then?
Yeah, so no daisies. She felt she didn't need the aggro, and it helped her out. But she's playing like the Queen shift package here. There's also the Robin Hood shift package that you could play. There's plenty of variation. She's got the one big aerial. I
love that card so much.
Yeah, I got her the Enchanted before Bodox, and so I think that
Sonic Warrior.
She played it at the Bodox, and honestly, that's probably what caused her to win. So, you're welcome,
I'm
babe.
so happy for her. I didn't know you guys got it. I love that card so much.
We didn't like pull it. I bought
right,
it.
Right.
But yeah. So she
Did
played it.
You use our link partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV?
I actually did the one thing that is better than that, and
you bought it from my local
game store. Yes.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
that is the only time you shouldn't use partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV. But yeah, so you can tinker with those numbers. The big Ariel, big Cindy. But really, just being able to every character you play, Cindy, Troubadour, they're able to sing songs, which is able to control the board. Yeah, crazy good, and it such an.
Can we switch over to show cards? To show the Troubadour here. This card, I think, which we're going to talk a little bit about in Villain of the Week here in a bit, but this card here, resist +1, and I'm on the resist train as always.
Of course, you don't call him resist Vince for nothing.
It's true.
But Singer 4. Singer 4, though, on a 2-drop
How many
card,
Singer Vince?
I think is Singer 4.
4? How many?
Yeah,
all right.
He's a musical turtle, and he's annoying because he's got that resist. He's a 1/3, so you take your Smee or whatever power, 2-drop, 3-drop your bell, your 3-drop bell, and you still can't take him out for 2 turns. I played against him and Grapes Kristen last night, and every time he was on the board, I'm like, well, I can't do anything to him, and I'm not putting damage on him for Rapunzel to come heal.
But then you can then sing. Yeah. You can use him the next turn to sing along came Zeus.
And then along came Zeus.
Yeah. Deal 5 damage to chosen character or location, and is really villainous card. But also, I really do like this World's Greatest Criminal Mind. I think this is actually, in my opinion, kind of an underrated card, which is banish chosen character with 5 strength or more. But then when you pair it with the Queen.
Yep. If you use it right.
If you use it right, which we did have this hiccup on one of our streams here, but that's all right. Which is that you can give a chosen opposing character -4, and you can also give any character +4 strength. So as long as your opponent has 2 characters on board and you want to get rid of something, you could give it +4 to get it over that 5 strength character. The issue we had on one of our streams for that didn't see it is that there's only 1 character on board, and so you can't give it both +4 and -4. It cancels out, so it won't work in that particular scenario.
You have to do both. Yeah, she didn't try to do both, but she tried to do one without doing the other, and you can't do it that way. You have to do both, and if there's only 1 character, they get both, so it cancels each other out.
Well, the issue is I don't think they realized that it had to be chosen opposing character for the negative strength. So that's what makes this actually kind of unique. So you couldn't give
negative
to your own character to then give positive to another character. You have to give a negative strength to another chosen opposing character.
It's also true, though, what Brad said, that this is a package deal. So if your opponent has a location but no characters, you can't buff your character to take out a location or something like that. You have to have the opposing character to give -4 in order to be able to give yours +4. So, I don't know which one. I mean, in theory, both were misunderstood in the scenario we had, but they're both understood now. And actually, Kirsten told me that she ended up having to play Brit again at Bodox, and this time, Brit had 2 Diablos on board, so she was able to do -4 to one,
Not this
+4 to the
time.
other.
Yeah, not this time.
So
Not around here, partner.
we've come full circle, and yeah.
But yeah, so I think we've talked about this. Let's chat about the since we got Brad here, he's big into the blurple. Let's talk about Link's deck first.
Don't call me Blurple Brad for nothing.
Link's deck, yeah. So this is not Janir.
Janir.
Jafar.
Jafar.
Wherever you are.
Ah, gotcha, yeah. Art will go on.
But I think the most interesting thing about Link's version of this deck, which is unique from I think a lot of the versions I've seen, is the inclusion of Cusco and Gaston in here.
Yep.
But otherwise, I feel like it's a little stock standard, not the same kind of Jafar thing. You've got Jaflurple, you've got going on.
Sure.
I will say, I think Cusco, I don't like as much. Gaston, I really, really like. I think Gaston is a great card.
Agree.
I'm glad he's back in Blurple and in consideration.
I think that one of Cusco, though, isn't bad in this meta game to get rid of the Maui. The Manor's good too. But I was thinking the hook.
Yeah.
Because that's the fish hook. Because I think that's actually like a pretty deadly card for the Blurple matchup in particular against a Ruby Sapphire matchup.
Yeah, I mean,
Manor can at least be dealt with, I think, with things like, Crab and Fox.
Crab, that's why that's there. But I mean, I don't know. The fish hook is what? Protecting your genies, Iago, and Elsa. That's it. Those are the only evasives this one has.
But what I'm saying, though, is it makes it harder for if you have a rush Maui hero to all, you can give it. But also, like, the great thing about Fishhook too is if you have a Maui on board, you can give your other characters for free the abilities of the Fishhook, and so you can make
what abilities. So what I'm just saying, I think what I'm saying, right? I think
as a Blurple player,
you're not necessarily really afraid of. You don't have man. This list doesn't have Manor. Some of them do run it. But the +3 strength is great for Manor with the Maui Rush. And then evasives I could see for something if it was a more evasive heavy with like the Peter Pan, Shadow Finder. I mean, this list has 4 Iagos, which personally I'm an Iago hater. But I mean,
without Rush, I don't like Iago. It's
right. But he has
you got to have the Shadow Finder.
K Mallet, which also kind of works for to the same regard. And it also checks genies really, really well.
No, well, I think the reason why I would say that I think you'd actually be concerned about it in some respects, though, is because you probably do want some of your evasive characters to stick on the board. And you, and like in that Ruby Sapphire matchup, like really, I'm trying to think, like, I think Half Shark is the only evasive character in that deck, right?
Yeah.
I'd play it. I'm sure. I feel like that's the only.
It's the only evasive, but I just don't know that like Blurple cares too much about losing their characters as much. Blurple is drawing cards.
I was just trying to make an argument for.
I don't know. What do you think, Brad?
Might be value.
Looking at links, like I've been playing the Jaflurple version for so long, but Blurple for the longest time has just been the bounce package, racing the 20 and racing the 7 or 8 ink, getting that hard removal with Hades and control with Elsa. It's evolved quite a bit since then, especially with the version that I'm playing. Link has still got those pieces in there running 1 Elsa. 3 Let It Goes also helps with those sharks. So the Hades and Let It Goes are the biggest answers to the sharks, and it's funny. Dancing around that in any Ruby Sapphire matchup is like they know, like as soon as I put the shark down, I need to bait out that Hades before I put this shark down. So you're trying to get multiple Hades and stuff. He's not running the bounce package here. I guess he's got the Fox to bring back a Hades if he needs to. But ultimately, what you're just trying to do, you're trying to get as high as possible in ink that you can, so you can control the late game. And I agree with. What's that? And
hope they don't
unless they go wide. If they go wide, then you're in big trouble until the next set when that Monstro comes out, man. I cannot wait for that big whale. We'll talk about that another time, but
yeah. You talked about your list
let's
here.
bring that up.
The mayor's Jaflurple here. So you've basically replaced things like Fox, and a couple of the Let It Goes, maybe. Obviously, cards like the Cusco, the Iago, Gaston.
I never had Iago. Yeah.
Fair,
you're talking about just
in general from Blurple, and instead you replaced it with Jafar, the Jafar package. So you're running like the 4 medium Jafars and the 4 big Jafars.
This isn't even your most recent list, though. Did you replace the library with the Queen? Is that what's
the Queen was in there? The Queen was in there at Bodex, yeah. And then I think the libraries might be out entirely in my current.
You still have the Greedstone Dragon? I don't remember seeing
that. That's not in there either. I took that out. I don't remember what cards I know the Queen is definitely in there, but I'm still running 61. I think Finders Keepers was down to 1. I think I might have upped Croquet Mallet to 3, but maybe not. This isn't the most recent one, but the gist of this one is
pretty similar.
The exact same game plan. You're trying to get Popsicle Bell on 1. You sing Friends on 2. You got Tipo for ramp at the same time, and then you play Genie on 4 or Jafar on 4 if you're expecting a manner. Because if you can ramp your hand up, that Jafar just takes it out in 2 turns most of the time. But ultimately, what I'm trying to do is control the board, get what lore that I can, and get the big Jafar out there to do all kinds of bounce or all kinds of singing. Draw shenanigans to get lore that way with the magic lamp and the genie bounces and stuff like that. So, it's a lot of fun.
Ruby Sapphire player and you're getting that mana out on 4 in this deck. You're playing it wrong.
You're probably not playing mana on 4, but
they'll play that playing it wrong.
They want to drop those manners right before they be prepared, and then. It's really tough. But getting like the Tamatoa out there, the recur your items, especially if you've already popped your Croquet Mallet, gives that Tamatoa rush and start running into those things. That Croquet Mallet does a lot of work with these big hitters like the Elsa, Jafar, and Tamatoa. Even the Shift Bell hits for 4. So if you can pop that rush on there and do a little bit more damage than they're anticipating on the enter the board.
And you've got a couple explosive draws in here. So it's really just your classic Blurple where you've replaced some of your classic Blurple tools instead with this Jafar package so that you can hopefully get this very explosive lore out of it. The lamp is definitely nice. Not just the draw off Jafar, but the bounce off Genie. Is like super multifaceted. We basically, you can bounce your own Genie, play it again, draw another card off of it, keep it safe from.
It's great, right? When you're expecting to be prepared, pop that, play the Genie, get the draw, pop the lamp, and hold the Genie right back.
Yep, quest
but
or
then
quest
they just hold
2, pop the Genie, pop the lamp. It's really nice. And then also being able to use it on your opponent is another,
I thought I big brained it. You and Justin questioned it on the stream at Grapes Games, where I used the lamp to pop the Tipo on the other side because he was showing enough strength on board to take out my library on the next turn. I'm like, and my library and my bell was exerted. I'm like, oh, I don't want him to take both of these for my next play, so I need to get rid of the Tipo. And then I did take into account that he's got another Maui in hand, and he still did. He was able to do whatever. I don't remember the exact scenario, but it still disrupted my game plan. I was like, Justin's like, I don't know why he sent that Tipo back. And I'm like, well, because of the strength, that it worked out. But then he just dropped another Maui, and I'm like, well, that didn't matter anyway.
Yeah. So your matchups in Blurple, whether it's Blurple or Jaflurple, I feel like they have probably relatively similar matchup spread, right? What is your least favorite matchup in that, Brad?
Oh, that's a good question. It's probably Ruby Sapphire, just because I know the control at the end there. Like when the sharks come out, if I don't have the answers to them, like the Pirate's Life is my most hated card right now in this game, because I could be doing everything right, and at the end of the game, it's like I'm just going to take all that work you did away from you, and. So I like seeing those Pirates' Life get inked early, but even the Be Prepares the Sharks and all those actions, it's hard to keep up with in the late game when they're controlling you back. Steel Song when they go wide, even the Steel Song or the Diggy version of it, any board that can go wide like that is a problem. One I wanted to give Tim from Game Night a shout out because I played the early version of this deck, not the one that you're looking at now, but. Into Chernadogs, and that was a puzzle to get through because that has the potential to go extremely wide, but they're so low to the ground that they're easy to deal with. There were several turns where he didn't quest, but I had to do so much mental math in regards to exerting with Elsa, moving damage with Bell, challenging here, challenging there, all this stuff to take that series. And it was one of my favorite games that I played in an otherwise matchup that could go wide and just destroy you in 2 turns if he wanted to. But yeah, the answer to your question is any board that can go wide aggressively is bad news. And
which
playing against your Ruby Sapphire, you and Vince both, I go into those matches knowing like I got to do as much as I can early and then hope for the best in the late game because you can just take it all away.
Yeah, and I think most decks have this sort of like going wide and being able to pressure lore is something that every deck has to have in it. They have to be able to do that to some extent. And so, like that was one of the things Justin was saying about Ruby Sapphire versus Blurple. He was like, you just have to go wide. And I'm thinking to myself, like, go wide with what, bro? You have like 4 characters in the deck. Like you play one of them and you like win the game with this weird controlling, win condition with the shark and everything. But, that's where cards like the Donald Duck come into play, and you just play them out there. You don't have to do the same sort of game plan that you were. You just pose enough threats, and Blurple, someone like Brad fries their brain trying to do the math to bounce 10 Elsas and play them all in the Hades and put them back in the, So, I guess that's probably a good segment to Ruby Sapphire, which. Yep. Vince, you played. I played as well at Bodox. Don't know if I'll play it again. It was a lot of fun. I got top 8. I got absolutely cooked by Tyler.
Oh my god,
that was brutal, mate.
What deck was he playing?
Amethyst Hyper Aggro.
The final match. Aggro. The final play in his game 2 because it was 2-0, Tyler, right? Mm-hmm. Against you. Yeah, the final play, he was struggling. He had Honey Marin in hand. He already played a goat. Andy wiped the board with Be Prepared, so it put him up to 16. He had Honey Marin and he had Piglet in hand. Honey Marin only gets you lore when something has exerted. Andy doesn't have characters on board. He's got another Be Prepared in hand. I think he's got a manor, maybe 2 manors on board. So he plays Piglet, and there's no way, like he's got Piglet on board and he's holding Honey Marin, and the top deck and has to get him 2 characters basically to get Piglet to quest for 3, and he top decks the Chernabog's followers, gets to play both the Honey Marin and the Chernabog's followers to quest the Piglet for win. And me and Cody were like, my God, what a top deck.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Andy had another Be Prepared in hand ready to use. He just couldn't do it until the next turn.
Yep.
And it was absolutely incredible to watch. It's unfortunate for Andy, but I just walked away like, oh my God.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
weakness to this deck for sure is hyper aggro.
Is aggro.
Yeah.
Hyper aggro.
Turnidogs is
sucks.
probably not as bad. I mean, Tyler's a
It
great
is
player, but you know, hyper aggro. Like when you go hyper aggro, we're talking like, you know, flip over the card and gain lore and just pass turn. So it was pretty well built. I think it was a really cool list. I think him and Ace worked on it together, and it had some interesting cards that I wasn't expected to see. But it really just pedal to the metal the whole way.
Yeah.
I think a Turnidogs list or a more aggro based, but sort of still has its own removal and still has its own sort of later game plan.
We'll find out. I'm a Turnidogs main now, baby.
You're
Josh,
Turnidog maining? Okay.
Yeah.
Next set champs, you play Turnidogs?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Not this one because Jock's not in it.
Right. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I would also just say I think the other deck here is Emerald Amethyst is another deck that this this deck struggles against. Just also because it tends to move a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still get a lot of value. Emerald Amethyst, you can get a lot of value out of the big Sisu and a B prep. I mean, Emerald Amethyst has no answers for Shark really, other than what is it?
Challenger Diablo and Crab. Yeah.
I mean, like once it's exerted, like there's a lot more answers do eventually exist.
Oh yeah.
But I'm saying like the most punishing part of a Shark is you play a Shark and then it gets removed. You know, I Shark, you Hades, right?
They have
You get
Bruno.
Elsa and Crab.
Bruno,
Yeah,
right?
Bruno.
That's the card I was thinking of. Thank you. That was the card I was trying to think of. Was Bruno is their really only answer, and if you have enough cards in your hand, there's the likelihood that Bruno, you know, just bounces the Shark and then you just play it again.
But that's the other flip side of that though, is that deck is actually pretty good at eliminating cards in hand with things like Hypnotize and Sudden Chill. So you can be in a situation
100%.
where it's your only card or it's like one of two cards you have, and I'm like, please 50-50
and that's that this deck is definitely susceptible, especially now without Hiram. It's very susceptible to being discarded out. That's kind of that's probably more so than aggro the Emerald Amethyst or Emerald Steel game plan into it. I think it ends up doing really well into Amber Steel. All of the sort of cards invested in removal for Amber Steel are largely non-valuable into the stuff I've got going on in this Ruby Sapphire build. Not that it's my build, but like, you know, when you're playing Ruby Sapphire, you don't have they don't really care about things like Storm and Strength and stuff like that, and they can clear boards really well. Pete's annoying, but you got big Sisu. I like this list. I played, I believe, card for card the same, if not very similar to this one we've got up here from Justin that he won at game night with. Did you play a similar one, Vince?
My list is very similar. The only thing I did change, and I don't remember what I traded out, but I think I ran one more card than this though too. Is the Great Stone Dragon.
Okay.
And I also was put in a what was it? Sapphire Coil, one of Sapphire Coil. But actually, the more and more I think about it, I think I would rather have a one of Ice Block.
I think the Coil and the Ice Block, that seems really weird in here. I mean, the Ice Block is definitely more usable, but that was one of the reason Justin's taught me as well, or taught us all when he was casting, is that you don't need to be inking every turn with this list. I won several of my games, and I was, you know, when you say, oh, how much ink do you have? 6. Okay, well, you can go to B prep next turn. I sat at 6 for a while. Like, I'll ink and play B prep whenever you want me to. I don't need to ink right now. Like, but so I don't know about the coil. I will say though that there is another.
I would absolutely not recommend. I think the coil's bad, particularly because like anytime that you would want to play it, like that you feel like I would want to play it, you would much rather ink it to play something else. And so I found myself doing that all the time, and that's just a really good sign that that is not the card you want in your deck. Greatstone Dragon, I figured I would ink 90% of the time. Like that was like a card that I was like, I'm
your 61st
maybe gonna
card.
play this. It was my 61st card.
Yeah, so easy card.
But I think I probably wouldn't have mattered if it was in there. The only reason why I say Ice Block might be good is there are times where it's like I wanted to be able to use a Brawl or the Sisu more efficiently to clear my opponent's board, and having the ability to clear some characters that I couldn't with those just is like, it's like, man, I'm one away. If I just had Ice Block, I would be and I feel like I'd be much more inclined to play Ice Block than I would to be play Sapphire Coil again, because like playing a one cost card, there's less
easier to fit in
risk. Yeah, it's easier to fit in, and then versus that two
an uninkability and stuff.
Yeah,
right.
But it is uninkable is the only problem.
So I think I don't know that I agree with that. I think it's kind of one of those cards where like it's just one of those other cards where you wish you could have that ability every now and then, so you try and fit it in, but it doesn't necessarily fit. That said, we don't have a list here for it, but I know Ron, our teammate, has been practicing it. There is another Ruby Sapphire build that I think is also very, very strong, which includes Maurice's Workshop. It does have tons of coils. It has the fish bones. It's got what is the Potion of Might, even sometimes Vitalosphere. Yeah.
I watched him play that last night. I showed up to game night. He had like 15 items on board, 20 ink, absolutely wild. He was playing Jason, and then later on he did a bunch of practice games against Kristen into Steel Song, and just watching that board. I even played a multiplayer with him too later, and I'm just like, you win in 2 turns. You have 12 items on board, and he's got 2 Tamatoas in hand. If we do anything about that one Tamatoa, he's just going to drop another and pop dime. It's so gross.
It draws a lot of cards of Maurice's Workshop. The biggest thing I see to it is it's even more vulnerable to hyper aggro or aggro of any kind than this regular sort of shark version, in that I think he still has like the bell opening and the Scrooge opening and things like that, but where it really, really shines is these turns that you can essentially take off. It's like a buy. You get like a rest turn where you don't have to play something to threaten lore, or you don't have to play something to banish their character or remove their character. Instead, there's nothing really to deal with. It's like a turn after B prep or something like that. You can play a card to draw some cards, right? You need these turns where you can play like Popsicle, draw from the Popsicle, draw one with a Maurice's Workshop, and then you play a Fishbone and you draw off the Maurice's Workshop, and like, you spent your entire ink drawing like 5 cards this turn, you put out like 10 items, and like you need those turns to exist. And there's somewhere on that scale between like Tyler's insanely hyper aggro and the most control-y of control. There's somewhere on that scale where you just can't deal with it with that kind of control.
You just need flatten in your Steel Song deck.
Oh no, I meant like for the Ruby Sapphire item build, can't deal with hyper aggro.
Oh yeah.
At a certain point, right? Like if it gets too aggro, that's where the Workshop deck is sacrificing a little bit more in the early game, arguably. But Bell and Scrooge are still pretty nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that where that deck really shines, though, is like in a mirror against this deck.
Oh yeah, for sure. Any deck that goes too slow, it can run away with the game.
Yeah. And rather quickly too. But
yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the reasons why Ron hasn't played that deck at such jams is because there tend to be a little bit more aggro decks. I think that the problem is that that deck has higher weaknesses. There's more vulnerabilities in the meta game, but its strengths are really, really strong. So you kind of got to find that meta game for that.
So
before we go,
I was gonna say also in the meta game we got Ruby Amethyst. We've got a list up here. We can touch on this briefly. I think it's pretty much the same as we've seen for a while. Shout out, this is Mitchell's list, right?
No, this is Tom. Wait, Ruby Amethyst?
Yeah, the Ruby Amethyst is Tom's. Sorry. So shout out Tom. This is his list. I really like the Lumiere that he has in there.
I was literally about to say I love that Lumiere.
Yeah, Lumiere is really nice, especially for helping against Big Sisu. It turns your Peter Pan, your Genie, your Elsa, all of them dodge Big Sisu now.
Yeah.
And then just your classic Pan Shark, if you will. Peter Pan into Shark, give it Rush. Pirate's Life, Brad's favorites card. Brad's favorite card.
You got the
Interesting, he's only running 2 of them.
You only need 2. You got the Shark.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fun
fact about this deck, real quick, Vince. This was my first matchup at Grapes with Jaflurple, and I was Tom's only loss in Swiss before. He made top 8 later. He won the next 4 or next 5 to get in the top 8. But starting off the day, he went into my Jaflurple and lost 2-1 or 1-2.
Sheesh.
Yeah, a little bit of pride on Jaflurple's belt there.
He does have the one-up dragon.
Really, that doesn't really surprise me though. Having been a RA player, that's a deck that I like. You and I've played that matchup even previously, and you've done pretty well against it. Just because I think that ramp really.
Yeah, that is one
is better. I think the ramp is better than the removal in this deck because you can get.
I was gonna say Blurple is notoriously better than most other Amethyst decks. Like it's the best Amethyst deck, right? Amethyst Steel, Amethyst Ruby. Blurple will beat them out because they ramp to the same cards.
The only thing I'm interested really about this that really strikes me is the split between the library and Queen's Castle. I mean, I think there may be like a wanting of more lore on the Queen's Castle. You get 2 lore, and you also get the card draw at the beginning of your turn. I typically tend to be a little bit more of a fan of the library when I play Ruby Amethyst because one, I like the ability to get the location down quicker, and also like ink tends to be a little less. You tend to have less ink in Ruby Amethyst, so being able to like have an opportunity to play 2 libraries a turn is always nice. And I think it's also just a little like that one like. Cost more to remove, it being an 8 removal versus a 7 means that it tends to either A, stick around longer or require your opponent to throw more characters at it to remove it. And so for those reasons, I typically tend to like the library. And I just also think there are better ways to like efficiently use that, whether it be like the Chernobog's followers to quest and draw 2 on your own turn with it and stuff, and we've talked a lot about that
7-8 is definitely a huge break point, especially with Crab and Fox, in the meta. That's 7 right there. And then I think Vince, you're absolutely right. The ability to control your own fate with the library. If you have enough ink, you can play library, move a character to it, banish it, and get the draw off it before your opponent has any chance to say, nah, I'm a Maui it or something like that, Yeah,
I think I just value that more than the extra lore
I think
that you get on the Queen's Castle.
I think the Queen's Castle is a kind of a surprise play, really. I put it in my Blurple earlier in the set. 4 Queen's Castle, 4 manners. And Ron got so mad at me, bro. He's like, you're so annoying, bro. And I mean, I was like, I'm just throwing down these 2 lore questing things, and like, yes, 7 is easier to remove than 9, and 7's easier to remove than 8 and stuff. But I still think you throw Queen's Castle down on 4, and that is like a must answer. And if it doesn't, it can be like a huge payoff. So I like the utility of some of these cards in here.
Yeah.
Ruby
Do we want to
Amethyst-
quickly talk about Amethyst Steel?
Sure. Amethyst.
Yeah, Giant Cobra sucks. That's it. That's the conversation right there. That was my first loss at Grapes Games. Mitchell's Amethyst Steel.
Yeah, that's the deck we're pulled up right here.
Yeah.
All right, let me pull it up so I
Only
can just
2 giant
spit on it.
cobras. Wow. Brad's
Just kidding.
really
Yeah,
good at
and
that.
he doesn't need more than one. Like you said, just keep bouncing it. Like
You
it's
still want to get it,
Ugh.
right? That's the
yeah, you do want to get it. Yeah. But like at the end of the game, he had a really early start of just like acquiring lore. While I actually bricked really hard too, is what the actual my problem was in that game, and he just continued to quest up. But then when he got to like to the 14 to 20 range, like he just had cobras, and I'm like, I can't target. I don't have anything to target it, like an action to target it, and I don't have anything to challenge it, like you know, to take care of it. So you can't play it again, and then he'll just bounce it with a snake, play it again, and discard something, and you cannot stop that discard. The only way to do it is to make sure he doesn't have a card in hand, and he always does. You know, even if he just waits till the next turn, he draws for turn, and plays Cobra again. It's man,
and this is the
so
first
good.
Amethyst deck though we've also seen that has a significant amount of like instant lore when you play.
Yeah.
So you have the White Rose, you have Merlin Goat, which is something we didn't see in the other Ruby Amethyst build, or we didn't see in either Blurple build. You know, so just this ability to kind of like sneak lore out, which I know Blurple can do in different ways. But just another
Blurple
kind
ditch
of
goat. Ruby Amethyst is low on goats. Nobody plays the White Rose. There's definitely more instant lore options, but the Cobra is certainly a nasty one.
Yeah, when you play this character, you may choose and discard a card to gain 2 lore.
Yep.
Yep.
And you can't do anything about it. There's nothing to stop it.
Yeah.
Besides an empty hand.
Whereas at least with like, you know, if you're playing something like the Jafar and stuff, you know, you've got to do other things, whether it be the croquet mallet to exert the Jafar, to then be able to have the resources to, you know, do whatever you need to draw and stuff. It's like I would watch Brad trying to do the math to be like, okay, like I'll play like a popsicle draw, and then it's like friends on the other side gain more lore, and then it's like, oh, I've run out of things I can draw on and stuff, and it's like, all right, gone goes your Jafar, you know, next turn. And so having things I think that are a little bit more consistent, like you can play that giant Cobra, then bounce it, and then basically, you know, play it again. You can bounce it, save it for another turn to play it again.
So easy,
you know, to gain and stuff.
It's a 3 cost actually. So you play that, you know, after turn 5, Cobra Snake. And it just you can't stop it. You have to target that Cobra to instantly banish it because it has vanish.
That ETB effect is just really, really good.
Yep.
Rules question I have, which is unusual because I'm usually the person that answers rules. But if you hit Giant Cobra with a Let It Go, does it go into your discard or does it go into your Inkwell?
It goes into the Inkwell because you resolve Let It Go first.
Yeah. And then the Cobra effect goes into the bag, but when it goes to resolve, Cobra's not there anymore, so it doesn't matter. It fizzles out, I think is the term they typically use. I thought you were going to ask if you hit a Cobra off of Mufasa, which I realize is not available as an option because of the color restrictions. But I'm pretty sure if you got a Cobra into play for free in some way, you still have the option to trigger its.
No, that absolutely would go into the bag, and then you would resolve it. So
what's an actual a real cool interaction is that if you have the Magic Broom on board first, and you quest with it, then play the Giant Cobra, you can resolve the broom first to get your draw, and then discard that draw for if you don't like that card for the bag effect from the Cobra.
Yeah, that's really it's the same concept as Tipo Broom in Blurple. You can play the broom, quest the broom, next turn play the Tipo, throw away the broom, draw for the broom, and then decide what you want to put in for Tipo.
I don't think I've ever done that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. You
get that one more option in case you don't have the card you want to Tipo away.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So,
I
think
anything else we want to talk about here, or
I think that covers most of the decks that I think we would recommend that people play or people look at. These are the decks you should expect to see. We've got the Sapphire Steel, the Ruby Sapphire, a couple versions, Ruby Amethyst, Janir, Jafar, Wherever You Are, Blurple, classic Blurple, Amethyst Steel. We didn't get to talk about it, but I think Emerald Amethyst, we talked about it a little bit, right? I think that also deserves a spot at the table. You got to be watching out for aggro at your local metagame.
hyper aggro.
Hyper aggro. Other things that I think you should take into account. 2-game format, best of 3. We didn't have a chance to go into which decks maybe excel more or less at that, but that is something you should consider at the tournament you're going to, the set champs, because some decks do perform better or not. And I think one of the best things you can do, especially if you are a single solo person, you don't have a testing partner at home or easily available to bother online or something, or if your testing partner is a adorable tuxedo cat like Vince's testing partner, watch the content from all these other creators. Brad has done some content about some of the decks he has played and others have played. There are tons and tons
Tune in
of
tomorrow.
Yeah.
For Deck Techs Tuesday. Or Deck Test Wednesday.
Tune in 2 days ago.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go get a time machine. Go back.
Tune in tomorrow to the mayor's meta report about other decks. So besides our own content that we are very non-biased about at all, there's just tons of other content out there. Look into, just listen to what they have to say. Maybe they say the same things you already know. Maybe they give you a cool, insightful little tip, like hopefully some of the things we say do for you. Try and consume some of that, and hopefully you can go to a set champs and bring home a card.
I just saw a deck on Facebook
today
that I'm gonna run with because I thought it looked really cool, and they had a deep explanation as to why it worked and what their play lines were, and I'm like, hey, that sounds like something I'd be interested in. So look around. There's a plethora of content out there. People love this game. People love talking about this game, and people love sharing their ideas. And hopefully that'll inspire you to come up with yours. And then we'll be talking about your decks in the future. So
absolutely.
Yeah, the one thing I would just add here about with Andy saying about best of 2 versus best of 3 is that it does matter, but I think what matters more for you is being comfortable with the deck that you're playing.
For sure.
And knowing all your outs. Like, I think there's a prioritization that you can have, which is understand the matchups you're going to go into, understand your deck really well. And so, we always say it's like stick with the deck and that you're most comfortable with, and, practice new decks. Don't think, I should, switch from a best of 3, this tournament's a best of 2, and this deck, is less good in that. Well, that deck. Unless you know another deck, stick with the deck you're going to do better with that deck. And you can't second guess yourself afterwards. Because I say this whenever I tournament organize, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yep.
Some days the luck isn't on your side.
I would argue that it's always better to be lucky than good, but
always better, always lucky. Better lucky
all
than
right.
good. But
with that,
I do want to say though, Vince, we should strive to level up. You play what is comfortable to you, but as we quest and challenge our way to the top tables, you should look to try and become comfortable with as many decks as you possibly can, so that you have the ability to do something and say, should I play this for best to? But Vince is absolutely right. I do not want to encourage anyone to, stray away from what they're already having success or having fun with in Lorcana. just because of something like 2-game or 3-game format. Like that's not that big. We're talking, hairs here. We're trying to get some percentage points and get us that playmat so we don't have to chop it up between 24 people.
Or chop it up amongst 24 people. As long as it makes you happy and you're not pressured into it. But with that, let's move on to Villain of the Week. Apologies to Gantu. Set 3 into the Inklings card, and then along came Zeus. Who wants to do it? Andy, you want to do it? Along came Zeus?
And then along came Zeus.
All right, perfect. It's a 4-cost, uninkable, rare card in steel. It's an action song. Deal 5 damage to chosen character or location. And the artist is Isabella Saravallo. I definitely mispronounced that. So Saravallo. And then Leonardo Giammaschele.
We've had him on.
Very nice.
Probably.
We haven't had him on the podcast. We've had his cards as Villain of the Week.
But he did the Enchanted.
Ooh,
he did the Enchanted.
The Enchanted is so nice.
So 2 artists for different variations of the card.
Oh, we did Lucky Diamond as well. But
this
anyway,
one, I was gonna say
we're gonna get to artist showcase. You're like
you're right. I'm sorry.
What is our Villain of the Week? We've said like 10 card names now. We've confused them all, Brad.
So it's then along came Zeus. But we talked a lot about this actually in the main segment, especially in
the Turtle Boy
with the Turtle Boy.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, when you both said Turtle Boy earlier, I was like, wait, Merlin Turtle?
And then I had
back into the meta.
I absolutely wanted to throw Merlin Turtle in the show notes just to mess with you too. He'd be like, why Merlin Turtle?
But why is this card good?
Yeah, where did it come from? No, this card is wild. It's a 4-cost uninkable. I think it's perfect for its spot. 5 damage is a lot of damage and pretty much deals with anything that has been played up. I mean, everything that has been played up to that point, with the exception of maybe a couple locations. But the fact that we alluded to it earlier, the Troubadour, as well as Vanessa, who he's kind of replacing in the Steel Song 2-cost slot, or 3, is he 2 or 3? Doesn't matter. He can sing this song. I think he's a 2-cost. He can sing this song on turn 3 and just deal with whatever threat looms out there, and it's gross. This card has been around, like you said, since set 3, and just that looming 5-cost damage that can be sung for free is very worthy of. I mean, I was hit with Zeus plenty of times this past weekend in the set championships. Turn 2 Queen
can sing this, but turn 3 this really comes on board. The uninkability doesn't matter. You're singing this. 5 damage to chosen character or location. That's just like a bonus cherry on top. But I mean, like, let's go through the list. Shark, Zeused. To medium Tammy, Zeused. Queen, Zeused. Genie, Zeused. Everything just gets completely.
You know what's not though?
Yeah.
What?
Hiram. They had to ban that card.
Hiram banned. So. Like Zeus is
it's a good
such an
Leonardo
answer to so many things that it really is just such a versatile card.
You need to make another sticker. You've got dies to Medusa.
Dies to Zeus.
Dies to Zeus.
Zeused.
Which is like a lightning bolt.
It needs to be a lightning bolt that says Zeused across it with an apostrophe D and an exclamation point.
But yeah, I mean, we've talked to this card is really good. But do we have anything else we want to say? We can quickly run through the artist showcase.
Yeah, quickly through the artist showcase. Isabella has 4 cards in the game. 1 enchanted with the Devil's Eye Diamond. The other 2 are Moana, Determined Explorer, and Lucifer, Cunning Cat. And then, as Vince alluded to, Leonardo has 34 cards in the game. He has the Enchanted. We did talk about him in the past with the Lucky Dime. Hiram was our first hero villain Hall of Famer. But yeah, so many cards on here. I'm not going to name it. The Big Tammy, so shiny. The Potato Captain, the most important, the Potato Captain. But all beautiful, beautiful work, and I'm sure they'll have more cards in the future. In fact, Leonardo has Don Carnage coming up in the next set that's already in Dreamborn here, and Rhino, the new Rhino. Yeah, nice. So cool stuff coming ahead. But love their work and can't wait to see more of it.
Yeah. Well, let us know your thoughts on Villain of the Week. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you're joining us on audio, Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, which if you're not, you really should. We have a lot of fun over here. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can be notified of all of our other content, like Deck Test Tuesday on Wednesday this week. Back in time, actually. We've already gone over that. But next week, probably on Tuesday, hopefully. Mayor's Meta Report every Saturday. Check them out on YouTube.
Hit up Maurice. I'm sure he can build a time machine in his workshop.
Sure he can. And draw a bunch of cards from it. We understand your time is valuable, so we appreciate you spending a little bit of it with us. If you would like to follow along as we plot our devious plans, consider following us on our socials. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, and the platform formerly known as Twitter at Rules of Villainy. We also have a growing community on Discord, which you can join with the link below.
Dude, it's rad in there. You should totally join.
Okay,
and you should also partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV. But until next
Radical,
week,
dude.
Stay safe, fellow villains. Be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.